everyone, my name is Shravya Ravala. I'm 13 years old and I recently hiked to EverestBaseCamp in the Himalayas. So in this video, I'm just going to be talking about my experience and I'm going to be answering some frequently asked questions about the trek to EBC. So now I'm just going to tell you about what inspired me to take on this challenge, and I'm going to be telling you about my overall experience. So I was initially inspired to take on this challenge by my dad, who had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in early 2020. He initially brought up the idea of going to EBC, and at first I was reluctant and unsure of whether or not I should take on this challenge, because it did sound pretty scary at first, as I had never really done anything like this before. But after doing some research and talking to my dad and some of his friends who had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, I came to a decision that if I had the right mindset and if I trained properly, I would be able to reach EBC. Overall, my experience was actually really great, and I've never done anything like it, so I was surprised in many ways, but it was definitely such an amazing experience. I mean, the locals were super welcoming and super kind, and the views were truly breathtaking. And overall, the experience was really great, and I would definitely recommend it. How did you train for your trek to EverestBaseCamp? Well, I wasn't really sure where to start at first, as I had never really done any big hiking trips such as EBC. So I had to do my research. I looked at a lot of different YouTube videos, which were really helpful, and I also looked at different websites and took advice from my dad. A lot of the sources said to focus on cardio, as it strengthens your legs and lungs and it builds your stamina. So for cardio, I ran 5K on my treadmill around twice a week, and this was really helpful in strengthening my legs and lungs. In addition to that, in the months leading up to the trek, me and my dad and his friends went on hikes almost every weekend, which was really helpful in strengthening my legs and lungs, and it helped to break in our hiking boots, which was really important, as you don't want the first time that you're wearing your hiking boots to be on your trek, as they need to break in and your feet need to get used to them. So in addition to both those things, since I'm a dancer, I did a lot of different dance practices, and this really helped with my training, as the kind of dance I do really focuses on your legs, and it really helped to build my leg strength and stamina. So it was really great to be able to have 3 different kinds of training, and it really did help me. It really helped to prepare me for EBC. For you, what was the hardest part of the trek to EBC? Well, for me, temperature was definitely a hard aspect of the trek. Since we went in March rather than April or May or any of the later months, it was a bit colder, and at night temperatures would drop below -20 degrees Celsius, which was definitely a struggle for us. As an attempt to keep warm, we would layer, use hand warmers and feet warmers, but despite the efforts, my feet did swell, which made it pretty hard to hike in the last few days of the trek to EBC. If you go in April or May or any of the later months of the year, it usually doesn't get as cold, but since we went in March, it was pretty cold at night. In respects to altitude, altitude started to affect me in the last few days, maybe the last couple days, and I got headaches, I was a lot more tired, and I had a loss of appetite. We took Diamox though, which did help us, but you never know how altitude could affect people because it affects everyone differently, and it's hard to predict how it's going to affect you. But despite all these hardships, our group would cheer each other up when somebody was down, and we would lift each other up, and we kept on going, and it was a great experience, and I would definitely recommend the trek to EBC. For you, what was the best part of the hike to EBC? Well, for me, I really enjoyed meeting the locals, and I really enjoyed the views. The locals were so welcoming and kind, and it was just a really great experience getting to know them and getting to know more about the culture. Whether it was talking to our guides, our Sherpas, or just locals in villages on the way to EBC. It was just a great experience. I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of different locals, like little kids in different villages and elderly people. It was just a really great experience to be able to connect and talk to different people. The views were absolutely breathtaking. Just the views of the mountains, the villages, it was just gorgeous. Just being able to see all these, some of the tallest mountains in the world, such as Lhotse, Ama Dablam, and Everest. It was really cool because when I was little, I would hear about like the 8,000ers, but just being able to see them in person was just a surreal experience, and the views were absolutely beautiful. Though the trek to Everest Base Camp was physically tiring, it did require strong mental willpower. If I didn't have a positive and good mindset and a strong mental willpower, I wouldn't have been able to make it to EBC. It's important to make sure you don't give up and to have a positive mindset to make sure you have a good experience and so that you can make it to base camp. In addition, while going through extreme temperatures and just having basic amenities and hours of walking, I gained a deeper appreciation for the everyday comforts I have in my home. What are your plans next? Well, my plans next in regards to hiking are definitely to conquer the 7 peaks. This means to hike the highest mountain in each continent in the world. For example, the highest peak in Africa is Mount Kilimanjaro, and that's what I'm planning on hiking next. I hope I can conquer the 7 peaks, and it's definitely a goal I'm working towards.